This is Get Sellers Calling You, and I'm Beatty Carmichael. Learn more at our website at getsellerscallingyou.com. Well, hello, everyone. This is Beatty Carmichael with Get Sellers Calling You. And I have got just a really exciting training for you today. This is something I've actually wanted to do for a while. And we've been compiling different things that have been working in the field. And we've updated some things on our end with what we do with our clients. And I wanted to share the 3 steps to getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list that you market to. And I think you'll get a lot out of this. Now, by the way, I'm doing a video. So if you're listening to this by audio, you'll get most of what I'm teaching simply by listening to it by audio. But let me encourage you, if you do have a chance, to come back to our website, getsellerscallingyou.com, and watch the video of this, because I've got a screen share. I'm using a PowerPoint. I'm showing you examples as we go through this thing and what works and what doesn't work as well, and how to really make this happen for you. And you'll get a lot more out of it if you can actually see it. Okay, so let me encourage you to do that. Also, one of the things that we are masters at is how do you get more listings? That's what this is all about, the 3 steps to getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list that you market to. But just as a little verification of what we do, I'd love, before we get started, just to share one of our clients with you and what they have to say about what we do and what we've been doing with them. And then once that person joins us, then I'll come back. So real quick, let's break for a testimony, and then I'll be right back.
My name is Benjamin. I've been selling real estate about 16 years now. This year, I'm on pace to close probably 70 or 80 transactions. Circle marketing has been phenomenal for me. I've gone about 10 rounds with it. Out of those 10 mailings, I've signed a 440 listing and also a 225 listing. So the total investment for me, I believe, was right around $1,000. The GCI was right around $20,000 on that $1,000 investment. So it's been one of my higher ROI.
Okay, so I'm back, and hopefully you enjoyed that short message about how great we are, right? So let me encourage you, if you are looking for a get it done for you type of service, please check us out, agentdominator.com. So with that, let me show you how to get listings out of a list. There are 3 steps to making that happen. And I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint real quick and show it to you. Okay, so I've got it up and running. So now we're going to talk about the 3 steps to getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list. And these 3 things very simply are: you need to engage your list personally. That's so important. Number 2 is you have to have a consistent messaging that's going out to your list. And number 3, you need to educate them why to choose you. And if you think about this sort of like a stool that has 3 legs, okay? If you take one leg out, it's not going to stand unless you lean it against the wall, okay? So you really need all 3 legs. And if you have all 3 legs, then you're going to be getting at least 8 out of 10 listings from the list that you're targeting. It doesn't matter what that list is. It could be your personal past clients and sphere of influence list. It could be a geographic farm list. It could be a niche list. It could be whatever list. In other words, the best practices always work. So what I want to do first is let's talk about engaging your list and what this means. For those of you who are listening that now are watching, I've got a gradient scale. If you think about kind of like a thermometer that's listed horizontally, okay, goes from cold to hot, from left to right, right? Okay, so this is the first step. On the cold, you have a cold community. A community is what we talk about in terms of this is the list that you're targeting. It's a community of people, okay? And they're all connected by one thing. They're all in your list, okay? And so what you find is typically communities are very similar. If it's a personal list, there's a commonality that they all know you. If it's a geographic list, there's a commonality that they're all in this one area. And so what you have is a cold community. That's someone who is cold in terms of trusting you. They don't know anything about you, therefore they don't trust you. Then it moves to a trusting community, and that's where you start to build up trust. And as you build up trust, you start to build up more of the ability to get listings from that list. And then you have what's called the friendship community. And this is very simple. They're friends of yours, okay? And this is going from lowest to highest in terms of the number of listings that you can get. So in the cold community, you'll typically get up to 5% of the listings. So that means if there's 20 listings that go on and you're marketing to it as a cold community, they haven't really trusted you yet, you might get up to 1 out of those 20 listings. It's not great, but it's a start. But then there's some things that you can do to build a trust within that community and move it from a cold community to a trusting community. And once you do that, then that now takes you to about a 30% of your listings, up to 30%, about almost a third. So if there are 20 listings out of that list happening, then you'll get somewhere up to maybe 7 of those listings. But then you can take it from that trusting community and drive it into what we call a friendship community. And this is a totally different type of community in terms of how they interact and trust you. And when you move it to a friendship community, what happens is now you're getting up to 100%. Okay. So if you kind of look at the gradient list, you go with less than 5% to up to 100%. And the whole difference between the two is how are you engaging that list? And really it boils down to how they trust you and how they have a relationship. So let me walk you through at a high level what we're talking about here and how you can apply this with any list that you're marketing to. So you have a cold list, and we're going to first take that cold list and move it into a trusting community, okay? A cold community to a trusting community. And the question is, how do you do this? The focus as you do this is that you are a professional realtor, okay? That's the focus. As you're taking a cold community, moving it to a trusting community, everything you do is showing off the fact that you are a professional realtor. And the engagement with that list is to try to engage them and engage them as a professional realtor. So some of the things that are the high level, really strong things to engage with. Now, this is not marketing. This is engagement. I'm going to show you the marketing stuff in just a moment, but keep in mind, this first step that we're talking about of the 3 ways to get 8 out of 10 listings out of your list is to personally engage your list. So we're talking about how do you engage those lists in such a way that you communicate that you're a professional realtor. And the first couple of things are those active engagements where you're either texting or phone calling them, and you're creating a one-to-one communication channel. The idea is ideally to create a back and forth communication where you send them a text and they reply back, and maybe you reply back again. Or you pick up the phone and you call them and you have a conversation back and forth a little bit, something where they have engaged with you, okay? Because once they engage with you, then the trust level increases substantially because now they feel that, hey, you're engageable, you're professional, you're likable. They like you, they trust you. Okay. So you start to move into that professional realtor focus with them. So some ideas of maybe some text messages. This is not the CRM text message that you're just blasting out a text message to everyone on your list. This is not the automated phone call where you send a message and it drops directly to someone's cell phone voicemail and you're just leaving a generic message. This is not an ISA calling and saying, hey, are you interested in selling your home? All of those can work, and I'm not degrading them at all. What I'm talking about, though, is engaging your list at a personal level as a professional realtor, not simply as a automated marketing, okay? Because we're talking about 2 different things. You can use the automated, but in a different capacity than what I'm talking about here. So when you're engaging with a text or a phone message, here's what I'm talking about. You want to personalize it so that when it's received by the homeowner, they realize 2 things. Number one, it's very personal. It's not just a mass marketed one. And it's actually very engaging. And they actually appreciate the way that you're communicating with them and why. Okay. Keep in mind, the key is as a professional realtor. So what's going on then is that text message may come out and say something like, John, this is Beatty Carmichael with ABC Realty. You're probably getting my postcards. Okay. So we're connecting it back to the postcards that you're sending out. And then it says something like, I know this is crazy. I've got buyers still looking in Crestwood Heights. Let's say Crestwood Heights is the community where John lives, and they can't find a home. I've driven by your home on Aspen Cove and it might be a fit. Is there any condition in which you'd be willing to consider selling it? Please let me know. Please text me back. Okay. So now what's happened is it's very personal. You called him by name. You've introduced yourself. You reference he's probably getting a postcards from you. You've referenced his personal neighborhood, Crestwood Heights. You've actually referenced his street. So he knows that you've driven by the home. So now everything about this text message seems very, very strategically personal from you to him, because two things. Number one, you've got a list of buyers that are actually trying to get in. He appreciates that. It's very authentic, and his home might be a right fit. So the idea with this text message is when it comes across, it doesn't come across as spammy. But here's the other thing. He is probably going to say, nope, I'm not interested. And then you respond back and say, hey, no problem. Thank you anyway. If there's anything I can help you do, or if you ever change your mind and decide to sell, please let me know. I would love to work with you. Have a very blessed day. And now what's happened is there's been this back and forth communication. And what happens is John feels like that he's actually communicated with you and you've communicated with him. So it's the beginning of a relationship, albeit a very slim root beginning, but it's a lot different than simply a blanket text message that shows up as a spam. Okay, that's the key with this. The other thing is that phone call would be of a similar approach. You're on the phone, you're talking to him, and you have the same type of approach. Now, with the video email is a third type of engagement that you can do with your list. The idea with the video email is you're taking a selfie video of you, okay? A little selfie video, you create a video, you send it out. And the idea, again, is you're being professional realtor. You're giving information about maybe that community, something that the homeowners would have interest in. But the most important part about the video email is now they get a chance to see you, hear you, and recognize that you're a normal person and probably kind of trust you. Very similar, if you're watching my video right now, you're seeing my face, you're seeing my expressions, and you are starting to get an idea that, hey, not only do I know what I'm talking about, but Beatty seems to be trustworthy, okay? That's what happens with a video. It's a much higher level of communication than simply a phone call or a text message. And then the other thing that you can do, and by the way, these are building in the order of increased value in creating trust, okay? A text message will help create some trust a little bit, a phone call even more, a video email even more, and then a door knock where you actually go and meet them face to face on the doorstep and be able to engage with them. All of these things are building towards what Gary Geller puts in his book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, a MET list. The more they have a chance to meet you, the more they have a chance to get to know you, the more likely they are to actually respond to you. And that's why, as you do these different steps, you'll take a cold community and turn it into a trusting community. You'll go from about up to 5% of the listings to probably up to 30% of the listings, simply because you're engaging the list, and now the trust level is higher. Okay, but that gets you only to the middle part of a trusting community. Now, if you want to take it the next step and actually start to supercharge it into up to 100% of the listings that come out, you then shift focus. The focus shifts from being a professional realtor to creating an authentic relationship. Now, I have to tell you a short story on this. My wife's cousin is the #1 real estate agent in our entire state. In fact, she's one of the top real estate agents in personal production in the entire nation. And she sold us our home about 20 some odd years ago. She sold the home we were moving from and helped us buy the new home. And it's in a very nice upscale community. 4 years ago, we decided to sell and upgrade again, okay? Much bigger upgrade than where we were. And guess who we chose? It was not her as the agent. And people are always surprised. Well, hold on. She's your wife's cousin. She helped you. She's a top producing agent. Why didn't you use her? Well, the reason was simple. There was no authentic relationship. For those 20 years, the only engagement we ever had with her was the traditional Christmas card that was mass marketed and mass mailed with no personal handwriting note. We would see her periodically at social functions, and she would say, "Hey, Beatty and PA, how are you guys doing?" We'd visit for just a moment, and then boom, she's off talking with someone else. In other words, the whole time of this relationship, there was no relationship, but there was always this very strong assumption: I will sell your home when you're ready to sell. And I'm thinking, why should I use you? You don't even care about us. Okay. So the idea is people care about you when they know how much you care about them. And that's what I'm talking about, an authentic relationship. There was no authentic relationship between us and my wife's cousin. It was simply a business relationship. And so what that did is it downgraded the value that she could bring to the table and our willingness to do business with her. And so this is why many of you, if you look at your past clients and sphere of influence, and if you were to go through in that list and see how many of them actually are changing homes year over year, if you're not getting that many of those listings, this is why. You may know them, but there's no relationship. The higher the relationship, the more likely they're going to do business with you. And so when you focus, when you start to have a trusting community and you want to move it to a friendship community, the focus changes from being a realtor to being a friend. Once you become an authentic friend, then they do business with you 100% of the time. Okay. And so here's how you do it. Okay. You still do text messages and you still do phone calls, but the focus of the text messages and the phone calls change completely. To put into perspective, when you're dealing with what I'll call a non-personal list, that let's call it a geographic farm, for example, the text message is, John, this is Beatty. I'm a real estate agent. I have some buyers. Any condition you'd be willing to sell your home. The phone call is something like that. It's always as a professional realtor. But once you move to the friendship side of the community, it turns into a authentic relationship approach. And that approach goes like this. For a text message, John, how's it going? Just thinking about you. It's all about relationship. What's up? You crossed my mind. Did little Johnny win the game? Okay. Your phone call is, hey, John, it's Beatty. I was just out driving. Actually thought about you the other day and had a quick moment. Just want to chat. How are you and the kids? What's up with Pam? Okay. And so it's all about the relationship and nothing about selling real estate. In other words, a relationship has nothing to do with your career. Once you bring your career into it and try to tie your career into that relationship, it now becomes a business relationship, not a personal relationship. That's what happened with my wife's cousin. Okay. It was all about a business relationship, never about a personal relationship. And she lost, $1.3 million transactions, whatever it was, when it's all said and done. And so it doesn't take much effort to establish and maintain an authentic relationship. It's simply caring enough to communicate personally. And that's it. Okay. Then you can also do a drop by. Hey, I was in the area. Just want to say hello. I was driving by, had a couple moments, just want to see if you guys are in, just want to, drop in and say hi. Okay. And the drop by could be at their house, could be at their place of work, could be wherever it is, but it's personal. Okay. And then the final thing, almost final, there's one more bonus I want to share in just a moment. But once you either have a text message or a phone call or a drop by, once you have some sort of an engagement back and forth with that person, it's real important to solidify the relationship is to handwrite a personal note and drop it in the mail that same day. Okay. And the personal note is just a sentence or two, but it's handwritten by you. John, love catching up. So excited about little Johnny winning his game. Tell him congrats for me. Okay. And then you drop it in the mail. Or if something significant has just happened, you make another little comment. You do whatever it is. If you drop by and they got a new sofa, okay, and they're showing off their sofa, all excited about it, whatever it is. Hey, love seeing you guys, and I love your sofa! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! So glad you got it. Be blessed, baby. Okay. And what happens is that note arrives in the mail, and they go, I really appreciate that. Okay. Now, the other key is when you do this handwritten note, you do it on your professional realtor stationery. Okay. So even though it's all personal in terms of what you write, you're reminding them on the handwritten note with your stationery that you are a professional realtor. And a friend of mine who gets a ton of business this way, you can go online, just search for referral sticker. Okay. And you'll find tons of little referral stickers. And usually it's their little referral stickers that say, I'm never too busy for a referral. Please send me referrals. I love referrals, anything like that. What my friend does is he actually has handwritten, professionally printed note cards, sort of like a thank you card, but it's professionally printed for his real estate business. And he'll write that handwritten note. Hey, Beatty, it was great talking with you. Excited about y'all, the win, your game or something like that. And then he'll sign it, Tony. And I get it in the mail, and it has a little sticker attached to the note, and it says, I'm never too busy for referrals. The handwritten note is all about relationship and nothing about business, but it arrives on stationery that reminds me he's a real estate agent, and he's got that little sticker that reminds me he likes referrals. So everything about his communication with me is all relationship and no business. But the handwritten note reminds me that he's a real estate agent. Do you see the difference? In the Colo community, you're approaching them as a professional realtor. But in the friendship community, you're approaching them as a friend and building that relationship. So I got to tell you one more bonus on this. By the way, if you want to hear more about that, if you search my podcast channel, there's a guy named Tony Fiore, Fiore, and he's the one that's sharing that topic of how his entire business, he's never spent a dime in marketing. And he does, I don't know, I'm guessing right now, but I'm guessing about 12, 15 million a year in volume simply by authentic relationships. And that's it. It's really cool. Another thing on the relationship, you can also search my podcast channel for an interview I did with Jenny Williams, Genny, Jenny Williams. And it was really interesting because with her, she was a top producer realtor. She left the real estate business for about 12 or 13 years, but she maintained key relationships. She came back into the real estate business, and within 3 months of starting her business back up, she was already generating 2 and 3 listings every single month. And the way that she did that is she maintained authentic relationships with key contacts within her personal list. And here's what you want to do is you look at that list and you ask yourself, who are the connectors? Who are the influencers? Who are the people that are involved and connected with a lot of people? So here's some ideas. You have football coaches, hairdressers, choir directors, pastors, anyone whose line of work is they're constantly involved with lots of people, or even those people that are just the life of the party. They know everyone. They're the social networkers type people, okay? Those are the people, then you focus a higher level of increased relationship building touches. I'm not going to go into that. It's outside of the scope I want to share, but if you want to learn how to do it, the best way to do it is go find the audio I did. I keep pointing down. It's not down, but if you look on my podcast, and just search for Jenny Williams, okay? You can go to getsellerscallingyou.com and just type in the search bar Jenny Williams, and it'll come right up. It's a fantastic interview, and I think you'll like. But anyway, back to this. So personally engaging your list. The more you engage your list personally, the more they're going to respond back and drive in listings to you, okay? Now, how does this relate to marketing? Marketing can support your personal engagement, but it cannot replace your personal engagement. In other words, if all you do marketing is just marketing, but not the engagement, you can build up to a trusting community, and it's going to stop about the trusting community level. So about 30% of listings. But if you want to knock it out of the park and take it all the way up to a friendship community and getting 8 out of 10 listings that happen within that list, then you've got to start building relationships with those people by engaging them authentically because you like them, okay, and building those relationships. So that's how that communicates and that interacts. So that is how to personally engage your list. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about how do you do the consistent messaging and educating people why to choose you. But before I get there, there's a little transition I want to teach you on, because this is important for you to understand. Anytime you are marketing to a list, any type of a community, you always have two types of people within that list. Those who have no interest in selling right now, and those who do have interest in selling right now. And the question is, how do you do consistent messaging, and how do you educate at the same time when you have two different types of people that you're dealing with? This gets very complicated until you understand the simple process. And in doing this, even though you have two types of prospects, the message is always the same. The message is, I'm an expert at selling homes faster and for more money. Or if you're in the commercial market, I'm an expert at selling commercial property faster and for more money, okay? So you're an expert at what you do. That's the message. But the methodology and how you communicate that message differs depending on if that homeowner or that prospect has interest in selling or not. But the challenge is you don't know if they have interest or not. So how do you construct your marketing piece, the communication channel? How do you construct it so that it's effective for both markets? Here's how. For the one who doesn't have any interest, you need to do a soundbite type of marketing. These are little bullet points, very short. They don't have to read much. They glance at it, they get the message, and they move on. If you think about a billboard driving down the interstate, that's what a billboard is. It is a soundbite communication channel. You drive by, you got 2 seconds, and it's gone. Okay, so whatever the communication, it's got to be done in a very short thing. Now, one of the things that we do is, as you know, we do postcards, and I'm looking for a postcard with the example that I want to show you. Oh, got it right here. So one of the things that happens with a postcard is the address side of the postcard, trying to put in the video here, the address side of the postcard is going to be seen by 100% of the people who receive your postcard. Why is that? Because we all go through our mail the same way. We put the mail out of the mailbox, we take it usually to the kitchen, and we got the garbage can, the trash can right next to us, right? And we go through the mail and we go through it address side facing us. And we see what it is and who it's from. And we divide that mail into 2 stacks. Those that we're going to keep and handle because it's personal or it's a bill, and everything else goes into the trash, right? Okay. But the key is 100% of it, if it's a piece of mail, 100% of the people that you're sending your marketing to will actually see it, touch it, look at it, and analyze it. And so the address side is where you do all your soundbite marketing. This is for everyone who has no interest in selling, because if you do it right, that soundbite marketing, you're going to just get a little blurb there. They're going to glance at it. They're going to look at it. They're going to trash it. But you've made that impression really quick. And over time, you're going to form this opinion in their mind about who you are. But then if you look at the next type of prospect, that person who is interested in selling, how do you change this? You go from soundbite marketing on the address side to what we call long copy marketing, which is on the flip side, okay? Long copy is going to now educate them. And here's what's happening. It's the flip side of the postcard. Now, we find that generally speaking, only about 20% of people actually flip a postcard over, okay? They look at it on the first side and they say, nothing I'm interested in, trash it. They don't even look at the other side. So if they're interested in selling and you do a good job on the address side, they'll flip it and start to read it. And now you get to educate them. Okay, so this is what I call 2 bites at the apple. So let me show you how this is applied in execution on your marketing. So this information I'm going to show you, by the way, for those on our audio, I'm now, if you can't tell, I'm showing stuff. So I'm going to try to walk you through verbally, but in case you miss it, then do come back to getsellerscallingyou.com and watch the video. But let's talk about consistent messaging for a moment. The most important part of the consistent messaging is getting the right message. I'm a real estate agent is a decent message, but everyone says that. It doesn't separate you, okay? What you're really trying to communicate is that you are an expert in selling their type of property. So if you're simply selling generically in your city, let's say in Birmingham, I sell in Birmingham. Well, great. So does another 10,000 agents. Okay. But maybe you're targeting a community. Okay. So let's say that we're going to be targeting a geographic farm. Let's say this particular farm is called Golf Village. So maybe I'm an expert in Golf Village. All of a sudden that starts to set me apart from other agents because now I have expertise where my postcard is going. And now that gives those homeowners in Golf Village a reason to believe that maybe I'm going to be better than another agent to serve them. Okay. So in other words, specialty marketing, niche marketing will always increase your capacity to get more listings for the same amount of effort. So let me show you what we're doing on postcards. This is as illustration. I'd love for you to use our postcards. Okay. Number 1, but number 2, if you do any type of marketing, I want to show you how to lay out marketing in a way that it stands out and it drives the results that you're looking for so that you can increase your overall listings. So what we do on our postcard is we divide it in half. The right-hand side, that's got the address, and then it has what we call the branding panel. This is where your photo, your name, and the main messages. The left-hand side of the postcard, this is what we proverbially call it our flipper panel. Okay, this is the main promotional panel because this is larger print. Their eyes are going to be drawn to it. And I'll show you why we call it a flipper panel in just a moment. But let me kind of give you the structure. The structure is, number 1, a consistent, unique selling proposition, what we call a USP, that is the consistent message we want to drive. The message here has to do with expertise, okay? So maybe one thing that Bill Smithson's expertise says is this: I frequently set record sales prices for Golf Village homes due to more than 19 years of proven experience, okay? So in very few words, it's hitting a couple of things: record sales prices, Golf Village homes, proven experience, okay? So if I don't see anything else but that, it starts to impress in me record sales prices in my community. All right, so that starts to create that branding message. Let me show you how we also verify this. If you look down to the bottom left, down here on the bottom of the flipper panel, it's just smaller print. It doesn't stand out very much, but it's always present. So if someone is interested and starts to read the postcard, they will see this. And what this does is this validates the statement that record sales prices. And it talks about Bill's proven expertise. And what we do on this is we take the MLS stats, your average days on market, list to sales price ratio, and compare it to the average within that market. So this could be the average at large, or maybe in Golf Village, your sales stats versus the average sales in Golf Village, so that you can quantify that you really do create record sales prices. But here's what happens with Bill. So this says proven expertise. Bill averages $17,290 more money for a $650,000 home and sells at 4.5 times faster than homes sold by other agents. Okay, so it's just a very simple, concise statement that's statistically accurate of what Bill does. So now this starts to validate, or at least prove numerically, that that's who Bill is. Okay, now the key message though on this messaging is that Bill has expertise. Okay, so how do you communicate that key message where someone will always pick it up and see it? This is where the flipper panel comes in, this left-hand side. So we take the entire left-hand side of the postcard, okay? And it's in large print, and it has two colors. The color that we want them to recognize the most is in a bold red. It stands out. It just grabs your attention. And on this particular card, it says, sold this home in one day for $14,000 over asking price. So keep in mind, what we're doing is we're doing soundbite marketing for the entire farm, because out of the entire farm, the vast majority are not interested in selling right now, but at some point they will. So the message I want to communicate is I'm an expert at getting more money for homes. Okay, that's why I set record sales prices, sold this home for $14,000 over asking price. Both of those are the same message. I'm an expert selling for top price. But then look at what we did just above that. So for those of you who are listening, let me just read this entire panel, okay? It's only 2 sentences long, basically. It says, Bill reveals the 4-step strategy he used that sold this home in one day for $14,000 over asking price. And then we have what I call flipper content. I'll show you in just a moment. See how it can get more for your home too. Flip the card to learn more. But the main message is this. Bill reveals the 4-step strategy. That's his expertise that he used to sell this home $14,000 over asking price. So we're showing off an expertise, and then we're validating it with the sale. Okay. So that's the structure. Now let me show you a couple of things about this. A couple other things. Notice what stands out in red. What stands out in red, this is what we call the highlight font. So anytime you do marketing, you always want a main font color, but then it's so important to use what's called a highlight font. A highlight font is something that pops off the page, that if the only thing they see is the highlight font, it communicates the message you want. So let me read simply the highlight fonts. Record sales prices, Golf Village specialist, sold this home in one day for $14,000 over asking price. Flip the card to learn more if you want. Proven expertise. If that's all your eye is attracted to, you get the entire message right off the bat. But typically, if you're going to read a little bit more, you're going to find out that he gets record sales prices in Golf Village homes because of his 19 years of proven experience. And one of that experience is the 4-step strategy he used to sell this home. Okay, so now it all kind of ties together. But this is one of those things that the homeowner going through the mail is going to see this postcard, is going to glance at it, read it, and then make an assessment of, I'm not interested in selling. They're going to toss the postcard, but you just made a powerful impression. So now with that structure, Let me show you a series of postcards how this comes across. Okay, so this is one postcard, and the homeowner's going to toss it, but it sets an impression. Then they get another postcard, and when they get this postcard, a few weeks later, it's going to say sets record sales prices in Golf Village homes, Golf Village specialists. Then they're going to see that Bill reveals how his unique target marketing strategy sold this home in 3 days for $15,000 over asking price. So right there, there's another type of expertise, another format of what his expertise does. He has expertise. The first expertise was a 4-step strategy that sold home for a top price. Now we get to this postcard. This expertise is his target marketing strategy. And what did it do? Sell this home in 3 days for $15,000 over asking price. Keep in mind, down here at the bottom of the flipper panel, it keeps reinstating the same stats. So every postcard is, those stats are visible to constantly reinforce expertise. Then we go to another postcard, and notice this one. This is now talking about aggressive social media marketing. Okay, so another application of his expertise is aggressive social media marketing. Help get this home sold for $1,100 over asking price. So now every time they go through something, it is grabbing their attention and showing off expertise. Let me show you something else about this too. So just some design elements in case you're going to design your own stuff or wondering what we're doing with ours. Everything here has been proven, it's been tested, and it's there for a reason. So you'll notice as I flip back and forth on these cards is there's these little handwritten asterisks, okay? And what a handwritten asterisk does, or an underline, is it breaks up the format of being professionally designed. And it looks like someone actually took a marker and marked on it, okay? And as soon as you get something that has a personal scribbly on it, it always attracts your eyeball to that section. So what this is doing, it is every time someone gets this postcard and there's this little handwritten asterisk up there, it draws their eye up to that asterisk because it stands out like a sore thumb and attracts them to then forces the eyeballs to that section of the card so I can get them to read it. Okay, so that's one little marketing element. The other element that we have in place here, you'll see this with what we call the unique selling proposition, this section that says, I frequently set record sales prices for Golf Village homes. Notice it's got a lot of white space around it. Okay, in other words, it just kind of floats in the middle of this white space all by itself. There's nothing else nearby that clutters it. All the photo and the name and contact information is down below. And so what happens is if you want to draw attention to something specific in your marketing, then you put a lot of white space all around it so that the only thing in that white space is what you want them to see. And it's like an island. Imagine if you're flying over a large lake, you're looking down and you see nothing but water except this one island right down there. Your eye is always drawn to the island because it stands out. That's what we're doing with this USP section. On every postcard, we have it standing out in this island of white space, which means it draws the eyeball right there so that they'll read it. Everything about the address side of the postcard is to get the homeowner to read the key pieces of messaging so that the consistent messaging is constantly being reinforced every time they get a postcard so that when they are thinking about selling, your name comes to the top of the list because they've been impressed with your messaging and it's been reinforced. Hopefully this makes sense. Now, with that, that's the second step of getting 8 out of 10 listings from your list. So the first step, most important step, is to personally engage your list. That just knocks it out of the park. Then the second step is to have this consistent messaging. Decide what your messaging needs to be, and then make sure that that message is reinforced on every single touch that you do. So that no matter whether you're talking to them personally, they get a postcard from you, it's an electronic message, it's a flyer, it's a door hanger, it's always the same messaging in a similar branding format so that there's this continuity, this congruency with that messaging. And what happens, it starts to build up this brand, okay? So if I were to just really quick example, if I were to say, what brand out there is the real thing? You're going to say Coca-Cola. What brand is it that is the next generation? It's going to be Pepsi. How do you know that? Because that's the consistent messaging they've always given. And now you remember that messaging. And that's what we're doing here. But the consistent messaging is not enough to knock it out of the park. It's good, but there's one more step. And that's the third step of getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list. And that third step is to educate people why they should choose you. So let me show you how this works and why this is important. Let me give you the psychology first. You can look at me if you're in there. But the psychology is real simple. If you have someone who's starting to think about selling their home, if you've done a good job on your messaging, they're already real impressed with you. They recognize that every postcard that comes out, you've sold another home at top dollar or top of the market price, and you've had another level of expertise that you've been showing off. And so they start to get this pattern, this impression about you that you really are an expert because you keep saying that you are. But now they start to think about selling. The average homeowner plans to sell their home usually about 3 to 4 months before they put it on the market. So as they start to get on, it's what we call in marketing, there's this thing called the educational spectrum. The educational spectrum says this: if I'm not interested in selling, then I could care less about what you do, right? Because I have no interest in it. But once I'm starting to think about selling my home, then I want to learn, how can I get the most money for it? What are the type of fix-ups I do? What type of price do I do? Which agent do I use to sell it? Which agent is going to get me the most money? All these things. And so what happens is you move on to what we call the educational spectrum. And at that point, you start to educate yourself. You start to research different things that can help you make the right decision to get the most money for your home. That's where we are. And that's what this third step of educating homeowners why to choose you. Once they start to move on that educational spectrum, they're starting to think about selling, and they get your postcard and it says that Bill reveals the 4-step strategy he used to sell this home for $64,000 over asking price, or $15,000, whatever it is. Then it says, flip the postcard to learn more. So now when you flip it, we have content. So with that, let me show you on the screen. So this is the flipper panel, and we call it the flipper panel. This is the left-hand side of the address side of the postcard. We call it the flipper panel because the whole purpose of this panel is to identify someone who's thinking about selling and get them to flip the postcard. Why do I want to flip the postcard? Because if I can get them to flip the postcard, I can now educate them and impress them about who you are. So once they flip the postcards, you'll see it starts with the headline all over again. Another home sold for $14,000 over asking price by Bill Smithson. Here's why his expertise matters. Okay. And notice also what's in red: sold for $14,000 over asking price. The thing I want to impress them the most stands out in red. So here's a couple of ideas of how we've structured this. Notice at the end of this headline, it has a ... What that is it causes you to say, don't stop here, continue reading. Because the purpose of the headline is to then get him to read the first sentence of the copy. The first sentence of the copy is to get him to read the second sentence. I know this sounds basic, but watch this. If I can get them to read into the second sentence and then possibly into the third, I have 2/3 chance that they will then read the entire marketing copy. And especially if they're thinking about selling and I can get them into the first or second sentence, I know almost without any doubt that the majority of those people are going to read the entire postcard. Because what's happening is because they're thinking about selling, they're looking for, who do I choose to get the most money and why do I choose them? Okay. And so now this starts to educate them. In this case, here's Bill's 4-step strategy that causes his homes to sell for more money. And number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way down the list. Now, here's also something else that's interesting. Usually when we show this to real estate agents, most agents who are just get it done, just give me the facts, don't educate me. I just want to know the facts. Okay. That's what we call a high driver. A high D. And many of you guys listening to this or watching this, that represents who you are. You're that high driver personality. You are the type agent that says, that's too much text, no one will read it. But you missed the mark of who's looking at this part, okay? The person who's thinking about selling is interested in what is your 4-step strategy that sells your homes for more money, because they're thinking about selling and who should they choose. So when they flip the postcard, they will read it because they're hungry to learn more. That's the key. They're hungry to learn more. They are now in a research phase, and then they will read it. Okay. So let me show you. I'm going to show you each of the address side of these postcards that I just showed you, and I'm going to show you the companion message side to show you how it works. So here's the next postcard. Bill reveals how his unique target marketing strategy sold this home for $15,000 over asking price. So if I'm thinking about selling, and it says, see how I can get more for your home too, flip the postcard to learn more. Okay. I want to understand how your target marketing strategy will get more money for me. What do? I flip the postcard. And here's how it works. Bill's target marketing strategy gets more money for your home than other agents get, ... And then it starts to educate about target marketing, how you do it, what it works, how much higher value does it get? Why does it get a higher value? In other words, it shows off your expertise and starts to quantify what that expertise actually means. Because your target marketing strategy is part of your expertise that gets more money, okay? And then if you look over on the left-hand side, it reinforces a couple of things. Sold. They want to know that you're selling homes. So here's another home that sold, and underneath it, Bill did it again. He sold this home in 3 days for $15,000 over asking price. Then the other card I showed you is this one. So I get your postcard in the mail. I'm still in the mindset right now of thinking about selling. It's been a couple of months. This is the third postcard. Bill reveals how aggressive social media marketing helped get this home sold for $1,100 over asking price. See how I can get you more for your home too. Flip the card to learn more. That's why we call it the flipper content. Okay. So now we're talking about the aggressive social media marketing. I want to learn about your social media marketing. So now I flip the postcard and I read about Bill's social media marketing gets more money for your home than many agents get, ... Here's why. And it starts to explain about social media marketing, that it drives more sellers, it gets higher prices, it increases the likelihood of getting a higher purchase price. Here's why. Okay. So now it starts to educate what you do in social media, and they go, wow, that's really good. And now they start to increase their trust level about you and selling their home. So that is the 3 steps of getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list that you do. Okay. So back to what it is. You've got to personally engage your list. If you leave the personal engagement out, the marketing it by itself can and will produce some very strong results for you, but only typically up to about 3 out of 10 listings. If you want to get 8 out of 10 listings or more, then you've got to start engaging that list personally. Okay. So that's the first thing, a personal engagement. Number 2 step to get 8 out of 10 listings from any list is you got to have consistent messaging. Every single touch that you do in all types of areas need to carry a consistent, congruent message so that you start to build up what I call the branding volume, okay? The branding trend, the branding consistency. So it starts to build up this pressure in their mind's eye that you are this messaging, you are the expertise. And then the third thing is you take those people who are thinking about selling and you then start to educate them more deeply why to choose you by explaining those elements of your expertise and why that is important in getting more money for their home, why that's important in getting the home sold for, quicker, getting more offers, whatever the focus of that education is. And once you start educating them, then they think, oh my gosh, I'd be a fool to choose anyone besides you. Okay. So if you've ever seen some of our other training, we talk about this concept of outside perception versus inside reality. The outside perception of most homeowners is that all agents are the same, and therefore it doesn't matter who I choose. But if they understood your inside reality and the expertise that you bring to the table, and they understand that to the same degree that you understand it about yourself, then as long as you're good, they would be a fool to choose any other agent besides you. And so what this whole process is of engaging your list, having a consistent messaging, and educating them why to choose you is communicating your inside reality to become their outside perception of you so that it completely differentiates you from everyone else out there. Isn't this cool? But don't go away. I've got one more thing for you too. And that bonus is how to use direct response marketing to identify sellers. Okay. So let me show you how this works. Direct response marketing is a special type of marketing. It's different from educational marketing. Okay. Everything I've been showing you is branding and education. And then you have a third type of marketing called direct response. And that's to get them to make an immediate response to identify who they are. And what direct response marketing is that special type of marketing that lets you identify homeowners who are planning to sell before they contact an agent. Or if you're in the commercial market space, it allows you to identify property owners planning to sell before they contact a commercial broker. Okay, it's the same thing. So how does it work? Very simply, what happens is with direct response marketing, you offer information that a seller is interested in knowing about. And then you persuade them to take action to learn more about that information. In other words, you hold a carrot up, okay? You dangle a carrot. Let's say that this was a carrot of some sort. You're looking for a shiny object, right? A shining object to drive more money for the sale of your home. And I say, I've got the shiny object. Simply scan the code down below and I'll give it to you, okay? So I'm going to offer you something that you want. You're going to respond to inquire about it. And then when that happens, I'll show you how you can identify them. So let me show you how we do this with our Flipper content, okay? So I've got another Flipper content here that comes out on the same postcard, but this has a different message. Notice what's in red on the Flipper panel. What's in red is if you're thinking about selling your home. What this is designed to do is to find that very small percentage of people that at any given time are actually thinking about selling. And so if they are thinking about selling, notice also this is underlined and I've got a little asterisk, okay? So this is all these little cues that drive your eye to want to look at this side of the panel of the postcard so that now you'll read it. And it says, if you're thinking about selling your home, here's what buyers today are paying the most money to get. If your home has these features, I can get you more money for your home. Flip the postcard to learn more, okay? So this is just one example. Another one may be if you're thinking about selling your home, home prices have been soaring. If you want to, if you're planning to sell right now or in the next few months, find out what your home could sell for today. That's the traditional home valuation type of approach. Any offer that a seller would be interested in knowing, you can use to generate a direct response. So watch what happens when they flip the card. This is important. Okay, first off, let me give you a little bit more psychology about this card. When you look at this side of the postcard, what do you see? You see a message here. You see a message up here in the USP section. You see this message of who Bill is, his contact, and his photo. You see a message here. You see your information here. In other words, there's a lot of stuff vying for your attention. It fills the field and your eye is going kind of all over the place, okay? You can get distracted. The most important thing you can do once you grab someone's attention is to get rid of all of the distraction so that their full focus is only on your message. This is why things like email marketing and pay-per-click type of marketing, while effective, is not as effective as something that they can actually hold in their hand in terms of conversion-wise. Because once they flip the postcard, look at this. Now they flip the postcard, there's no distraction. The entire postcard that's in front of them right now is the one message you want to communicate to them. There's nothing else to distract them. So that means it gets 100% of their focus, and 100% of the focus means it drives more click-throughs, more results for you to identify those sellers. Notice also what we've done in the red. Okay, this is where I was talking about using highlighted text. If they only read the red highlight text, here's what they read. Selling your home, top of the market price, full asking price, scan the code, right? So it gives you the entire message in a little bullet point, what I call soundbite type of highlighted text, that just as a glance, they see exactly what this is about and is compelling. But once they start to read it, let me just read you this one because it's very compelling. Watch this. So they flip the postcard and it says, if you're thinking about selling your home, I may get it sold immediately and at the top of the market price because of special buyers I work with. ... The ... means keep reading. One reason my homes often get the very top of the market prices. Do you see how we're constantly reinforcing my homes get more money consistently, top of the market prices? One reason is because of special buyers I work with. You keep reading, and now I'm going to educate you on these buyers. Watch this. I maintain an active list of over 397 buyers. Some of these will often pay the full asking price because they've been looking for a while, want a specific type home in your neighborhood, and will do whatever it takes to ensure they get it. Doesn't that sound like a very authentic, real approach? Because you read that and go, wow, that makes sense. Now watch this. This is the key. The key with direct response marketing is to create such compelling curiosity that they will absolutely reach out and actually do something with wanting to respond. So here's the next part. If you are thinking about selling in the next 6 months, visit my website to see what these special buyers are looking for. If your home is a match, call me to talk. Okay, so now what I'm offering is the information that I may be able to get you very top price immediately simply because of special buyers see if your home is a match. So now they're going to want to see if their home is a match. They're going to scan the code. And as soon as they do, I'll show you in just a moment how we identify it. But now what happens now is at the beginning of the postcard, the address side, if you're thinking about selling their home, we grab them through the flipper content. We get them to flip the postcard. And now the entire message has one focus: scan the code. If they don't know how to scan, we actually give them the website so they can type it in. Okay. Let me show you how we do this with another type of property. So this is actually customized cards. We do a lot of work in niche markets. So any type of niche, if you think about a second home niche, if you think about 1 acre plus type properties, if you think about waterfront only, lakefront only, mountains only. In this case, this is large farm and ranch. Okay, so this is what we did with this guy. Notice also just real quickly, just in case you're interested, how the visual aspect of the postcard changes. Okay, this is just a standard, I'm your neighborhood real estate specialist, but now we're over into a large farm and ranch specialist out west. So we got this beautiful imagery in the background that is where they are. And so everything is focused around farm and ranch. Look what we did also with a unique selling proposition. I frequently set record sales prices on farm and ranch properties, selling more 100+ acre properties than 99.2% of all other agents. Isn't that impressive? Okay, so when this postcard comes out and you're always the large farm and ranch specialist, what happens then is it creates this branding trend that you're the guy. But look at what we did now with a direct response. So give you some background on this. And this is to help you understand that no matter where you are, there's always some sort of information you can offer someone thinking about selling that's going to be unique to that property market. And in this case, when you're selling a large farm or a ranch, just great big out rural 100+, 800+ acres or anything like that, there's not an MLS. There's not a Zillow. You can't just go online and see what other properties have sold for and say, okay, my property is similar to this property, so it'll probably sell for this amount. It just isn't available. So what we did with this particular person, by the way, we changed the name and photo just for privacy purposes. But what we did is said, hey, let's create a list of all the farms and ranches that have been selling in the area and for how much they've sold. And let's offer that as a way for them to find out more. Because then we can identify those people with this large tract of land that's thinking about selling. Okay, so here's how this one reads. If you're thinking about selling your property, view a list of farms and ranches that have sold and get an idea of how much yours might sell for. Flip the card to learn more. Okay, so now I'm going to offer you information that you want to know that you can't get anywhere else. It's not readily available. So you're going to flip the postcard. And now we're back to the very same format. Watch this. If you're thinking about selling your farm or ranch, view a list of properties that have sold and get an idea of what your property could sell for today. So we repeat the entire message again because we want to, number one, make sure they know that they got to the right side of the postcard, and this is what the focus is. And watch this, and then I'm just going to skip down right here. If you're thinking about selling, I've compiled a list of large farms and ranches that have sold in the area. I've included detailed property descriptions, land and terrain features, general location, relative selling price, and more. This will give you an idea of the price per acre sales that we are seeing today. Isn't that the information you want? If you've got some property, you're probably thinking about that. Scan the code or enter the link below to go more, learn more. So now you scan the code. In other words, this is direct response marketing. You offer something they want, and then you get them to take action. You persuade them to take action. Here's what happens now. This QR code or this URL that they enter, when you deal with us, these are unique to the homeowner or the property owner that we mail this to, okay? In other words, if we're mailing out 100,000 postcards, we're mailing out 100,000 QR codes. So what happens then within our system is when that prospect visits that URL or scans that QR code, then our system recognizes which code was scanned, and we match it now exactly back to the homeowner or the property owner that we mailed it to. Now we know exactly who they are and exactly who is thinking likely about selling. At that point, we then transfer them over to either our landing page that we put together for you to deliver that information, or actually redirect them over to your website where you have that information, either way. And then we send you an email that, hey, this person has just responded. You might want to follow up because they're likely thinking about selling. Okay. So that's the bonus. Okay. The bonus on the 3 steps of getting 8 out of 10 listings from any list is to use direct response to identify those sellers ahead of time. I can't reinforce enough the 3 steps to getting 8 out of 10 listings from your list. You've got to personally engage. Then number 2, you've got to have consistent messaging, and make sure that everything you do is consistently giving the same message. And the third thing is to educate them. Take those people who are thinking about selling and go at a deeper dive and start to educate them in those verticals of your different areas of expertise, so they really understand your inside reality. So with all of that, hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this. Now, if you're listening or watching to this, but you're not actually subscribed to our podcast, let me encourage you to subscribe to it, because this is the type of content you get all the time. Hands-on content. If you do listen to podcasts, just go to your Apple Podcasts, go to your Google Podcasts, go to your Audible, go to your Spotify, and you can just search for Get Sellers Calling You. Press subscribe. You'll get our podcast. We do about 1 every 10 days. If you don't know what podcasts are, some of you realtors out there actually probably don't know about it. It's real easy. It's an app on your phone and allows you to stream audios, training audios like this. It's easy to do. Just go to your app store on your phone and you type in podcast. Okay. And if you're on Android, you look for Google Podcasts. If you're on an iPhone, you look for Apple Podcasts and you install it. It's just an app on your phone. You open it up, and inside that app, there's a little search. And when you click search, you type in the words Get Sellers Calling You. You'll see our podcast come up, usually the number 1 that comes up with that. And you press subscribe, and that's it. And now you're subscribed to us, and it'll remind you anytime a new podcast comes out. The last thing I'd like to encourage you is to subscribe to our services at agentdominator.com. We are a done-for-you custom postcard marketing. Everything that you've seen is fully customized to you, to your business, to your uniqueness. We have a team of little copywriters that are top-notch that will create award-winning content, consistent messaging, constantly educating you, educating your homeowners and your property owners why to choose you. They generate up to 10 times or more results than standard postcards that you'll get in the real estate industry. And also, if you use our premium turbo services, we actually guarantee your results, or you guarantee your listings, right? How many listings you get out of X% that are out there, or we'll refund your money. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching and listening, and I hope you have a very, very blessed day. Be blessed. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe to it so you never miss another episode. And please like our Get Sellers Calling You Facebook page. Also, if you want to increase sales from past clients and sphere of influence, dominate a geographic farm, or convert home valuation leads, check out our Agent Dominator program. We create custom content that differentiates you from other realtors, then use it to keep you top of mind with your prospects with postcards, targeted Facebook ads, email campaigns, video interviews, and more. And the best part is we guarantee your sales or give all your money back. Learn more at GetSellersCallingYou.com and select Agent Dominator in the menu. Thanks for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast. Have a great day.